Today, I thought it would be fun to do a little tier list with all the manufacturers in Borderlands 4 and just ranking them just on their overall, performance across like their base types, them as weapon parts, as enhancements, and so on. There's a lot of stuff to keep in mind with like each manufacturer. So this is going to be like a general compilation for each one, just roughly like where they sit in my eyes. Obviously, there can be some outliers that can be way better or way worse than like general rankings of these. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, overall, we're going to just get like a rough idea. So if you guys are looking for some weapon types to be using throughout your playthroughs or to try out with your end game builds, you guys can use this as a reference and experiment with this. As this is a tier list, I'm sure you guys will agree with me 100% across the board. So let me know in the comments how much you just completely agree with me. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video and want to come back for more Borderlands 4 videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me hit 100K by the end of the year, but let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm just going to be ranking these in whatever order they appear, so we're going to be starting out with Maliwan. Now, Maliwan has always been the elemental archetype in the Borderlands series, and luckily in this game, you don't have to charge them up. Like in Borderlands 3, you usually had to charge them up, and it ended up being pretty annoying to use, so they are a lot more streamlined now. You just shoot. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with them. Obviously, status effect things are very strong with this. You can be applying a ton of dots. Their enhancements, so you can spread the dots. You can get bonus damage based off of like the second elemental type of the Maliwan, which is really cool. There's some ways you can kind of use that in different scenarios. Like you use it on Rafa. You can like give the beam tosser is insane just in itself as an underbarrel. But you can kind of like give its damage to like Rafa's Peacebreakers, I believe is how it's working right now. So there's a lot of like really cool and weird things you can do with Maliwan. Overall, it is very strong. The enhancements end up working out pretty well. Maliwan as just like a part on a weapon doesn't really work out too great in my opinion. Like it is nice sometimes to have like an option between two elements. Like I have a Buri SMG that is like fire and radiation, I think, because of a Maliwan part on there with extra barrel Jacobs. Like it ends up being pretty cool. But overall, it's not like the most useful thing in the world, but Maliwan is still a very, very strong manufacturer and is going to end up in our A tier to start us out. Next up, we're going to be looking at Torg. Torg is always the explosive manufacturer here in the Borderlands series. The base weapon types of Torg are okay. They're not my favorites in this game. There's a few strong options, but for the most part, where Torg really starts to shine is just having this as a part on your non-Torg weapons. So you can, for example, get Torg Sticky on a very fast-firing SMG. And that way you can just deal insane single target damage like Torg Stickies. You can abuse the heck out of them if you get infinite ammo through various means. Like Rafa has a very easy way of doing that. So infinite Torg Sticky is like a fantastic option for Rafa. And you can make it happen on other characters too. Like you can do some things with Vex and Witchy Trigger Finger with the Torg Stickies. Overall, Torg Stickies are very strong. Them themselves are like super S tier, but as a whole, I think Torg gets brought down a little bit lower just because of the base archetype. The Gyrojets isn't my favorite part. Like it's specifically the Torg Stickies that really, really make the Torg shine. The enhancements are pretty decent. You can call down like some missiles. You get more damage and damage radius, but once again, damage radius sometimes can actually be a detriment because you just end up blowing yourself up. Overall, Torg is a very strong option in Borderlands 4, and will actually also be joining our Maliwan here in the A tier. Now, COV in this game is just essentially going to be a mag option for your different guns. This is going to change your mag into just a heat up meter, and they'll eventually overheat, and then once you get too far into the overheat is when you're actually going to have to like do a reload, and the reload's usually a bit longer than like the base guns, but you also get to shoot way more. Like the shots to heat up is usually going to be way bigger than your magazine size. So there's actually some really good use cases for COV. There's some weapons it can make you shoot, like triple the amount of shots. It's pretty nuts what it can do for certain weapons. Other weapons, it's actually not going to be very nice to have. I believe I've even gotten this on a TDOR weapon, so I couldn't manually reload it, which was a little weird. It kind of bricked my TDOR. So there are some bad cases with COV as well, but the enhancements for COV can be very good. You can, decrease the amount of heat it's going to be generating, get some extra damage. You can get crit chance, like guaranteed crits while it's overheating. So there are some cool things I'm sure you can take advantage of with the COV stuff. But overall, it is just kind of mid, in my opinion. There's good cases, bad cases. So I'm just going to be throwing it here in our B tier, right in the middle of the pack. Next up, we're going to be looking at Daedalus. This is a new manufacturer for Borderlands 4. And essentially what its whole shtick is that you get to swap between different weapon types. So a Daedalus shotgun, for example, can have a secondary fire that will consume pistol ammo. You can get it for like AR, snipers. So there's different ways you can use different ammo types. So you get overall just a ton of shots because you can use both sides. But also those alternate fire modes are going to influence the damage. Like for example, on the legendary Daedalus shotgun, the bod, if you get sniper as the secondary fire mode, that thing just shreds. It's honestly one of the best weapons in the entire game. Like the bot is genuinely insane. There's also the Mad Lad, which is an SMG, so you get crazy fire rate. And if you get a shotgun secondary fire on it, you can now shoot shotgun pellets, multiple pellets at SMG fire rates. So if you're doing like Red Tree Harlow, that's a way to just proc all that bonus radiation very quickly. So there are some really, really good Daedalus weapons. But I think as a whole, Daedalus really is not like anything too crazy. There's those outliers, but for the most part, it just ends up being a non-thing for the most part. You're not really always looking for Daedalus parts for the different firing modes, and it just ends up being okay. The enhancements are just okay. You can get some fire rate, some damage out of them, or just ammo sustain. Kind of depends what your use case is. But for the most part, Daedalus, in my opinion, is just like middle of the pack, so it'll also be joining COV here in our B tier. But now for Order, this is also a new archetype for Borderlands 4. This one is all about charging up your shots, and it's going to release like basically a supercharged shot at the end. And it just ends up being not worth it. I haven't used a single Order weapon for the most part that has been worth the charge time. So I'm really struggling to understand the point of Order. It's kind of been one of the things in the Borderlands games that people have always hated is charging up shots to do any sort of damage. Like Malawan used to do that, and everybody, for the most part, was not a huge fan. So like, it's cool to see Malawan move away from that, but it's weird that they moved it to like two other archetypes, which we're gonna be talking about Ripper next. But Order, and there's not even like any Order legendary weapons that I really like that much. The only Order things that I think are really good are rep kits because you get 2 charges. And then also the grenades, they basically just home in and seek enemies. So like the swarm grenade is really good, especially if you're running like Rafa and you're just spamming them. Like it's like a swarm of bees everywhere. It's really cool. So like there are some decent Order things, but like as a weapon enhancements, I just don't see a use for them right now in Borderlands 4. Maybe there's some super niche option for them, but for the most part, I just don't really see the use for them. So they're going to be our first D tier manufacturer. Now, Ripper is our second manufacturer where the base type requires you to charge up to start shooting. And there doesn't really even seem to be a benefit. Like at least like Order, you're going to be doing a like big shot with all of your ammo in that clip essentially. Ripper is, for the most part, you just charge up, then it starts shooting. It can turn some guns full auto that normally aren't, but I mean, you can just click. Like I just don't really see the purpose of Ripper, but there is a very strong outlier in the Ripper world, and that is the Stray sniper rifle. This is what I use on my Bleed Vex. It's going to be shooting like a normal projectile and then 2 other projectiles that aggressively seek in and home towards enemies, and it just destroys. That sniper is one of my favorite guns in the whole game. It is very powerful and ends up being probably the best thing Ripper has to offer, and I like it so much that I would honestly put Ripper above Order for that pure reason. Otherwise, they're basically the same. There's not many other reasons to use Ripper. I also think the Ripper enhancements are better than Order, so between like the enhancements and the Stray being a thing, I'm going to have to put it above Order as our first C tier manufacturer. TDR is a very, very fun weapon manufacturer. Their whole shtick throughout Borderlands has always been, you could reload them quickly because you just throw the whole gun. You just get rid of it, but you do lose all the ammo that was in that magazine. But, if they're exploding, doing things like that off the reload, you're going to be getting more damage based on the amount of ammo that was in that magazine. So with TDR, they have enhancements where it's like, essentially like you had a 50% bigger magazine size when it's calculating that thrown damage, which is really good. You can keep 50% of the ammo that you threw out, so it helps you maintain that ammo throughout your enhancements. So like that's a really good legendary combo right there for TDR enhancements. Also, the weapons for it are really good. There's the Chuck, and I believe it's called the Ruby's Grasp, where the Chuck you literally just click, like you don't shoot a shot then reload to throw it. Like just shooting makes you throw it. So it's really good if you get like Merv homing on there. That's one of my favorite types of Chucks. I use that on our grenade Rafa, and it's overall very strong. Like you can kill very quickly. You don't have to aim. You can just look in the sky and throw it, and it's going to clear everything around you. And the Ruby's Grasp, this thing is going to throw out a bunch of pistols. This one you do need to shoot and then reload first, but it's also very strong. And once again, if you get like the homing ones, it is just super, super good for ad clear. And they actually do pretty decent damage, especially if you fully build into them. So overall, I think TDRs are really good, and they're going to be joining Malawan and Torg here in our A tier. Atlas in Borderlands 4 is just going to be parts, so essentially all you can do with Atlas is take advantage of the tracking pucks, or you can, on certain weapons, you can get one that debuffs them and makes them take, I think it's like 30 or 35% more damage, essentially just like marking them. So there's a couple different ways you can utilize Atlas, and then you have the enhancements and different firmware that play into Atlas. So if you guys really like just like having all your shots tracked enemies, it's pretty good for bossing, especially bosses that are squirrely. If you stick them, you can focus on just running away and shooting in the air, and all your bullets are just going to track to them. And if you were to full send it, I could see it being fairly decent, just because there are a lot of bonuses. So while you have a target marked, you can keep it marked indefinitely. There are some pretty decent things to do with Atlas, but for most players, I think they just kind of want to shoot the target. They don't want to take the time to shoot the tracker puck. I usually just never utilize this. Like it comes on the KOs in, and I never do it. I just shoot the KOs in. So I don't see like the big purpose of Atlas, but if you are a fan of just like the auto tracking, it can be pretty decent. So it's not the worst thing in the world. So I'm going to be putting it here with our Ripper into C tier. But now for a fan favorite, Jacobs. This is what I used basically through all of my playthroughs. Jacobs weapons are so incredibly powerful. Early game, mid game, late game, it doesn't really matter. Jacobs are insane. On almost every single weapon that I could think of, if it can roll a Jacobs part on it for the crit ricochets, I basically want it. I don't know a single scenario where I wouldn't want that crit ricochet. It's just completely free ad clear for that weapon. So if you can get a Jacobs ricochet on there, I mean, you're good to go. It's going to be a great option for almost any single weapon. The enhancements are really good. You can get a chance to crit, 20% just flat chance to crit. You can get extra ricochets, chance to ricochet on not crits, stacking damage on consecutive crits. Like there's just so much about Jacobs across the board that are really strong. You get spread launchers on Jacobs shotguns. So overall, Jacobs are the best thing that we've looked at so far, and they're going to be our first S-tier manufacturer within Borderlands 4. Now for Hyperion, they're also like Atlas, where they're essentially just a weapon part. They're not going to be a basic, archetype of a weapon, and there are some enhancements for them. But Hyperion in this game, all they do is give you a gun shield, and then there's a part for increasing accuracy, which like can be nice, but at the end of the day, the accuracy really doesn't matter as you continue to shoot. And the gun shield, I find myself barely ADSing in this game anyways, just because with some of the specializations, you can sprint and shoot while you're hip firing, and most of the guns have really good spread. You're close to enemies anyways. Like there's very little reason for me personally aiming down sight, and its benefit, as it gets hit, it can amp your gun damage. But once again, I'm never aiming down sight. So the one thing damage-wise it can do for you, you can't even really utilize that a lot of the time. And then its enhancements really aren't good. It's mostly like the gun shield health and things of that nature. So overall, I really do not like Hyperion in this game. And that kind of pains me to say, because that used to be one of my favorite manufacturers, especially in Borderlands 3. Those guns just felt so good to shoot. Like the Hyper Focus in Borderlands 3 was one of my favorite weapons. So it really hurts me to do this, but I'm going to be putting Hyperion down here into D tier with our order weapons. The final manufacturer that we need to look at is Vladof. I'm just going to say it right out of the gate. Vladof is my favorite manufacturer in all of Borderlands 4. The fire rate you can output with these things is insane. The guns themselves are really strong, especially the purples like the Buri and Flutie SMGs. They're just insanely strong. You get the extra rate of fire barrel. It's like 75% fire rate. You can get the Jacobs on there. and they just shred. Like, we use these as our main weapons on our Halo Harlow build. You can use anything with them. Like, the taser underbarrels are super strong. If you just have 3 weapons with taser underbarrels, you can swap between them. Like, I use that a lot while leveling my Harlow. Overall, there's just so many great options with Vladoff. The enhancements are really good as well. You can get extra projectile. You can benefit the underbarrels by lowering their cooldowns, increasing the damage of the underbarrels. Then also you can just have like base magazine size and fire rate as another enhancement. Like, there's so many just great options for Vladoff. So overall, they're going to be joining Jacobs. Like, they are seriously one of the best things in the entire game. I highly recommend giving that a go if you guys are doing a playthrough and you just like high rate of fire and just really good feeling weapons. But yeah, this is my completed tier list of all Borderlands 4 manufacturers just as a whole. Once again, just to reiterate, there are outliers for each. There can be some things that are way better than where they're currently ranked, like the Ripper and the Stray Sniper. Like, the Stray Sniper is like A to S tier in my opinion in terms of like gun rankings, but Ripper as a whole is just a C tier for me. So there's a lot of cases like that. If your favorite manufacturer isn't high on this list, doesn't matter. Continue using it. If you really like order weapons, continue using them. Like, everything's perfectly fine, but just compared to each other, I would say, like, order is on the bottom and Jacobs is on the top. So hopefully you guys did have some fun with this. Let me know down in the comments if you agree, disagree, what you think of this tier list, where different things rank for you, and what you like to do with them. Yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video and want to help me hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I greatly appreciate y'all subscribing and coming back for some more Borderlands 4 videos. But yeah, thank you for watching this far, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.